Hello everybody, CryptoChaperone here, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about a few things that have been pretty big on the cryptocurrency news lately. And the first one of those is going to be the whole Tether hack that has happened recently. Now, I'm sure if you have been paying attention to cryptocurrencies in any way over the last 24 hours, I'm sure you've heard of the Tether hack. Tether, which is kind of like a off company, or it was kind of created by Bitfinex. They are tied to the US dollar, or that's kind of what they peg themselves as to being. They are a cryptocurrency and they tie themselves to the US dollar as being only one Tether coin per one US dollar is allocated pretty much in their project. There is a lot of controversy behind this project saying that they don't really have $1 per one Tether token issued, and that they're issuing tons and tons of Tether tokens, and they're pretty much not really keeping up with anything that's going on. They're just issuing these tokens out and collecting money, and they're not even collecting money and just issuing tokens, and all these people have tokens and they're trading in Bitcoin for tokens that have no value. So essentially, Tether went off to say that they have been audited and they've been doing quarterly audits, but they have not been giving out any of these audit reports. And a few months ago, they was the last time they really actually said anything about these audits. They kind of came out and said that they were doing the audits quarterly and they were finishing up their April audit and all that stuff, and everything would be released. And that's the last thing you heard about any of these audits. Last night, or a couple days ago, like maybe I forget what it was. I think it was yesterday. Tone Vase and Jimmy Song, who are two prominent people in the cryptocurrency world, were interviewing Bitfinex and Tether and the team and developers. I think like one person from Bitfinex and one person from Tether or something like that, or maybe it was just Bitfinex in general. And they were kind of questioning them about their whole project and the authenticity of it and all this stuff and how it's really working. And right after all that happened is when Tether had the so-called $30 million hack, or $31 million, however much it was. It's kind of funny that that happened in that exact order. And if you've been paying attention to any of my recent videos, I definitely have talked about Tether. I talked about Tether in my last video in relation to Bittrex exchange. Tether is a currency where it's kind of a stable currency that a lot of people want to switch into. Just a lot of day traders do it when they go to sleep because it'll hold its value. If Bitcoin drops 20-30% or it shoots up 20-30%, they don't really want to take the chances of it. They're not that big of a gambler. So they'll cash out all their trading currency into Tether, and in the morning they'll buy back into Bitcoin and start trading over again. I have been in the Bitcoin scene very heavily over the past like 6-7 months. I've been in pump and dump chat groups. I've been in expanding ICO groups. I've been in so many groups, and a lot of these groups, pretty much all of them, talk about Tethercoin at one point or another. There's always somebody who is in the group saying, should I transfer my coins into Tether and buy back later? And it's always a lot of people who are talking about buying into Tether. It's a very big idea, and not many people look into it when they are buying into it. They think it is just a solid, when it's called US dollar Tether, they think they're buying into the US dollar. They don't understand that they're buying another cryptocurrency. They're not buying $1. You're just buying a cryptocurrency, and if that cryptocurrency would essentially fall off and become valueless, you're going to be stuck with a bunch of cryptocurrencies that you traded a Bitcoin or an Ethereum for, or whatever you traded for your Tether, that is now valueless if this market were to crash. And apparently, if it was not apparently, but if this market was to run out of any sort of, I guess, authenticity more than it already has, and people start to pull their money out of it, if more people pull their money out than what money they actually have, it'd be the same situation as kind of a bank, and it would just collapse. Or they would just do kind of a Mt. Gox situation, which I saw a lot of people were kind of complaining about Bitfinex, saying that they were having some very delayed withdrawals over the past 24 and 48 hours. I don't know if that's been fixed, or it was just a problem because of the whole Tether ordeal that was going on, because I did see that Bitfinex and all of them were releasing some codes, updated codes, because they were going to try to stop any of these hacked Tether coins from being redeemed at any of the alternate exchanges that do accept US dollar Tether tokens. So potentially maybe just them putting that code into their site or whatever they were doing. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe that was what was delaying some of these transactions. But if you've had any of your transactions delayed on Bitfinex over the past 24 to 48 hours, maybe let me know or anything like that. If not, maybe it was just a couple people or a few people having problems with their individual accounts. I don't know. But we'll get past all that news, because Bitcoin dropped a little bit and then it recovered right after that, because this isn't really a big deal anymore. You have so much news that's going on with Bitcoin daily that is positive, that small setbacks like this aren't going to be anything major. BitConnect has had a lot of negative news recently as well, and that is also because BitConnect is supposed to be renewing some legal licenses, and they've been really putting it off, and I think it's supposed to be coming down to maybe the next month or two is what they have left to renew these licenses. And if they don't, they cannot remain a company that operates, I think, in China is what it was, which means they will not be a company anymore, and they would have to potentially move to another place or just shut down in general and not accept payments. I'm sure we'll see potentially maybe some big news with BitConnect over the next month or two. As well as, I'm sure if you were paying attention to any news today, JP Morgan Chase has actually announced there was a Wall Street Journal written about it that was released today. And JP Morgan Chase said that they were going to potentially let their clients start trading Bitcoin futures via the Chicago Mercantile Exchange when that becomes up and running, which is supposed to be happening within the first 2 weeks of December. So potentially within the next 3 weeks, that will be up and running, and there could be more exchanges and companies working with that, and that will be integrating Bitcoin futures exchanges as that continues. So I'm sure we'll see more banks, more of these Wall Street companies getting into Bitcoin and futures exchanges, and that will just slowly trickle off into these other cryptocurrencies. As you guys can see, I've been sitting here in this cryptocurrency page, and the market cap is at the highest market cap it's been yet. It's been since I've been making any of these videos, $241 billion. Now, I've been saying that I think Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies are going to hit $250 to $300 billion by the end of this year. I am guaranteeing that pretty much by this point. I think cryptocurrencies will hit 250 billion by the end of November. Potentially it'll hit 300 billion by the end of December, maybe even more. So we are almost at a $250 billion market. We have grown from about 12 to 15 billion dollars this year to 241 billion dollars as cryptocurrency as a whole. And it's amazing because that's just how much it has grown just over the course of one calendar year, and you still have such a little amount of interest in cryptocurrencies. I think it was a couple months ago that it actually came out. I heard somebody talking about it, but they said that there was maybe like, I think 5.5% or something like that, less than 5.5% of the world population actually knew what cryptocurrencies were. And I think what you see is a lot of people in like the United States and Canada and a lot of these regions that have a lot of media attention, you are definitely getting a taste of what cryptocurrencies are, especially Bitcoin, because every time you turn on the news, there's something coming up about Bitcoin or something like that, because they're trying to spread the media. But in other countries where you don't have this kind of thing happening every day, you don't have this spread of knowledge instantly. And it's when that starts to happen, when it spreads out to these other countries where they need cryptocurrencies more than in the United States and places that have kind of the US dollar. And the US dollar is, it's pretty much next to the euro. It is the world currency, and then the euro is pretty much second to that. And You have people who don't use the dollar and the euro, and that is kind of where the Bitcoin is stepping in to help out the world. So people who right now who have the dollar as their actual currency and people who have the euro as their actual currency, they don't really understand what Bitcoin is. And those are the people who are kind of asking, is Bitcoin really going to replace the euro? Is Bitcoin really going to replace the dollar? Does this really have a future? And it makes those people kind of question it a little bit more than when it actually reaches those people that don't even have a banking system or can't get into a banking system or have no way to trade or send money or do anything. And those people get into having cryptocurrencies and being able to trade these things, and it'll open up a whole new door to them. Places like Zimbabwe and places like that are using multiple currencies, they'll be able to easily use these all on their cell phones. They'll be able to use one currency or whatever currency they want. They won't have to be switching from currency to currency and having currency shortages and people freaking out and people pretty much dying trying to convert currencies over from one to another. So that's a big thing about Bitcoin, and that's what I think a lot of people still don't understand is, yeah, it's reaching these main land areas and these places that have huge news sources and ways to advertise to people greatly. But when it reaches places that it's actually needed, that's when you're going to see Bitcoin start to really spread and develop. Right now, we're seeing a boom because it's got so much money that can flow into it. And the real idea of Bitcoin is to have a decentralized currency that everybody can take part in. And I could send whatever currency I want to anybody in the world. I don't have to transfer out my money into their currency and do whatever. I would be able to just send them straight money. And at the end of the day, everybody would pretty much be happy. So if we look through our markets today, we've got our great market looking today. The markets did also just reset recently, so a lot of Christmas festivity going on here with the red and green. Our biggest earners today are Zcoin, NXT, Power Ledger. Those are some of our biggest ones. Power Ledger has been definitely making some larger moves. It recently just got released from its ICO onto exchanges and shot up to, I think it was quite high. I think it was up in the 70s. Yeah, it hit 70 cents and then it dropped back down, and there's a lot of news going on with Power too, and it's got a lot of people working with it. I haven't looked too much into Power Ledger, but I've seen a lot of big people talking about a lot of people who have been making good investment decisions. So as well as when you see that, you kind of want to look at what other people are investing in. Obviously, if they've been making good decisions before, they're probably going to continue to make them. If not, even if they're interested in a project, it's probably good to at least take a look at it. It might not be something you want to invest in the long run, but it might have some good potential behind it or something you might want to watch out for in the future. So if we look at our biggest losers for today, markets also did just reset, so we don't have any major losers. Veritasium, always going to be probably in one of the loser brackets because it is a very volatile coin. Doesn't really have much of a platform behind it, and it's got a few people on YouTube and bigger name people who can kind of push the name, and whenever they say the name, you'll see fluctuations in the price. This coin will go down to $50, $60 and go up to $120 very frequently. And if you pay attention to any of my videos often, you'll see that this was picked up in one of my videos as one of my favorite 5 volatile cryptocurrencies to trade and gain profits from because of those major fluctuations. You can have fluctuations from 20 to 30% over the course of 2 to 3 days. And if you invest $1,000, $2,000 in that, you could be making $600 in a couple days. Now, you always want to make sure when you invest your money into this that you do invest it in something that you can pull it out of. You don't want to invest $10,000 in a coin that has a 24-hour volume of $56,000. Even if it goes up 60, 70%, potentially you're not going to be able to pull out your money because you're going to have to look for people who actually want to buy the coin at that price. So it might go up to $112, but you might have to buy all the orders up to $96 to fill all your sell orders. So potentially you're losing a decent amount of profit doing that. Or you could just trickle your sell orders out, but by that time the market could crash back down to a lower price or just back down to where you bought it at. So you always want to make sure, I say this once and I say it all the time, you always want to make sure that you're buying into a market that is comfortable with what your capital is that you're putting into it. If you're only buying in $100, $200, you're good buying into pretty much anything in these top 100 coins. Anything over like $10,000, $15,000, only buying a couple $100 into it really isn't going to be anything major. It's when you start hitting a couple $1,000, because that'll multiply by 1 or 2, and then you're stuck pulling out multiple thousands of dollars. And you have to look for people who want to fill those sell orders when you're trying to sell them. So that's pretty much all I got for you guys today. We got the Tether news. We got whatever else. We got Jamie Dimon with JP Morgan kind of clashing, and JP Morgan is wanting to start to pick up Bitcoin futures trading. And we have just all this information going on with Chicago Mercantile Group is going to be starting in probably the next 3 weeks. Hopefully, if everything stays on track, they're going to be opening up Bitcoin futures trading within the next 3 weeks. And we have the Big Bang Theory with their Bitcoin dedicated episode airing at the end of November. So we have a lot of things for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as in general in the next few months. So guys, this market cap that we're looking at right now is going to be slowly growing smaller and smaller. And we're going to be looking at, I mean, not smaller as in size, but we're going to be looking at this as we used to look at the 15 and 17 and $150 billion market caps. And we're going to go, do you remember when the market cap was $250 billion? And I think by first quarter next year, the end of first quarter next year, I think we're going to be possibly at a $500 billion market cap. I think we're going to see some major money move into cryptocurrencies next year. And if you are not in it yet, it is definitely a time to invest, because you could potentially make 5-10x your money in this upcoming few months. This is going to be one of the greatest transfers of wealth in your lifetime, in anybody's lifetime. And just like the internet age, I think anybody who doesn't take advantage of this now is going to look back on it in the future and really regret it. So all I can tell you guys now is to go out, look at more great YouTubers' videos, and stay well educated in this cryptocurrency space. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.